Hey, have you ever wondered why things exist? Well, a few years ago, there were some people over here who had answers to that question, and they made poems and bowl art about it. And now they have a pretty active fanfiction community. I'm Jake, and welcome to this is Greek mythology with Jake. Okay, so for a while there wasn't much going on, but then a few primordial deities started popping up. Earth was lonely, so she sprouted a bunch of sentient geographical features and also a sentient sky, and he was her favorite, so he got to be in charge of everything. And they had a bunch of kids together, but some of them were ugly, so their sky dad put them in jail, and that made Earth Mom sad, so she told her normal-looking kid Cronus to stab him. But nobody invented knives yet, so he just opted to neuter his dad with gardening tools. And Sky Dad was so embarrassed about this that he decided to stop being important, and then Cronut got to be in charge instead. But Sky Dad's still up there being the sky, I guess. And Earth Mom was like, hey, are you gonna let your ugly siblings out of jail now? Because that was kind of the main reason I told you to stab your dad. But Cronus didn't hear her because he was too busy planning his incest wedding. But then he realized, oh man, what if I have kids and they find out how awesome it is to usurp your father? And nobody invented birth control yet, so instead of not procreating with his sister, he decided to just eat his kids whenever they popped out, and that took care of things pretty well. But that made his wife's sister sad, so by the time she was about to have her 6th kid, Zeus, she devised a really smart plan. Hey, can you hand over our newborn son so I can cannibalize him like I did with our last 5 children while you helplessly watched? Sure, here you go. Here is our son, our newborn son who I just gave birth to and am handing over to you right now. Oh, thanks. But little did he know, it was actually just a rock. The real baby Zeus was taken to a cave where a goat raised him, and they put on an EDM festival outside so nobody would hear him making baby sounds and stuff. Once Zeus grew up, he was like, you know what sounds fun? Usurping my father. So he snuck some tummy ache juice into Cronus's coffee, and that made him puke up all his kids, who are now fully grown gods. And Zeus was like, hey, want to usurp our dad? And they were like, yeah, that sounds fun. And so began the epic 10-year battle known as the Titanomachy. But we don't actually know what happened for most of it because the ancient Greeks forgot to write it down. Or they did, but it was all in the Library of Alexandria or something, I don't know. But after fighting for a while, Earth Mom went to Zeus and was like, hey, while you're fighting this celestial war, could you maybe let your ugly uncles out of jail? Because that was kind of the main thing I was hoping to get out of all of this, and they'll probably hook you up with some cool weapons and stuff. And Zeus and his brothers were like, okay, so they went down to Tartarus to set free the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires. Nailed it. And they were like, thanks, and gave them a bunch of dope loot. And then they were finally able to kick their dad's ass, and they threw him and a bunch of the other titans into god jail. And Cronus was like, I'm realizing the irony of my actions because my dad suppressed his children, which led to his downfall, and then I did the same thing to my children, which yielded similar results, and now Zeus is probably going to face similar choices, and it's kind of this whole thing about cyclical abuse, and damn, the ancient Greeks really knew how to tell relatable stories that captured the core of the human experience despite their seemingly fantastical subject matters, and people are probably going to write a lot of, like, academic papers on this subject and unconsciously parallel it in their own modern stories and, blarg, I'm gonna stop being important now. And so then Zeus and his brothers got to be in charge of everything. Zeus got to rule the sky and be boss of all the other lamer gods. Poseidon got to rule the ocean, and Hades got to manage all the dead people because he was the last person to say not it. But he got to name his office after himself, so that's cool. Meanwhile, their oldest sister Hestia got to be in charge of campfires. And that's about it, but she's doing a great job. Their middle sister Demeter controls the weather to make plants grow and stuff, but after a messy custody battle with Hades, she started half-assing her job, and now we get snow sometimes. Zeus took a note from his old man and married his youngest sister Hera, and they had a few kids together, like Ares, god of war and bloodlust, whose hobbies include fighting things and getting his ass kicked like half the time. Their other son was Hephaestus, but he was ugly and had weird-looking legs, so Hera tossed him out the window, and he landed next to 2 mermaids who adopted him and gave him Legos to play with. He got really good at building Legos, so when he was older, he decided to get payback on his mom by building her a fancy chair and secretly coating it with super glue so she would get stuck. Remember that chick you hooked up with and then you made her turn into a fly and ate her? Wow, great story. Let's change the subject. I love my wife. Yeah, it turns out Zeus was quite the lady killer, and Hera wasn't a big fan of that. This one time she found a girl's number on Zeus's phone and chased her onto an island where she gave birth to 2 twins named Artemis and Apollo. Artemis thought boys were icky, so she decided to live in the forest with her friends to hunt magical animals, help deliver babies, and occasionally kill a giant or 2. You know, girl stuff. Apollo, on the other hand, was quite the socialite, and he was tight with everyone. Ladies, gentlemen, goat people, oracles, sun gods, you name it. Wanna chill and bang out some sick tunes? He's got you covered. Have a giant serpent problem? Apollo's your guy. Need to cure a plague, or perhaps inflict one on your enemies? Say no more, compadre. Anyway, then there was this one human lady who Zeus was dating who started wondering if she was being catfished, so she was like, hey, how do I know if you're the real Zeus? So he showed her his Super Saiyan mode, which succeeded in proving his identity, but also in vaporizing her entire body body, leaving their unborn fetus son wombless and exposed. So Zeus stuck him in his leg to finish baking, and once Dionysus popped out, he went to go party with his goat friends, and he invented a bunch of fun stuff like wine and dolphins and blacking out at a rave and waking up covered in sacrificial goat entrails. Hermes was another one of Zeus's kiddos, and when he was just a little bebop, he ran away from home and stole a bunch of cows from Apollo. And Apollo tracked him down and was like, "Hey mister, what did you do with my secret cow stash?" "Whoa, you're banging out some sick tunes right now, bro." "Thanks, I just invented this instrument out of a turtle shell and cow guts." Freaking sick, dude. And they were best friends ever since, and also Hermes got to be the god Celestial FedEx. Oh hey, remember that one time Cronus castrated his sky dad? Well, his junk landed in the ocean and it just kind of floated around for a fat minute, but then it decided to stop being a sky dong and start being Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. And she washed up on a beach and everyone was like, damn. And then Zeus made the out-of-character move of not fornicating with the new sexy goddess lady and instead betrothed her to Hephaestus because his Lego girlfriends could only heal his loneliness for so long. But Hephaestus saw she was texting Ares a lot, so he secretly rigged up a trap in their bed and caught them during one of their bi-weekly wrestling matches, and he called in all his friends to come over and laugh at them. So yeah, those are all the major Greek gods. They spend most of their time hooking up with mortals and then usually turning them into various plants and animals, but sometimes they'll do you a solid, so always try to have a goat handy.